Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your podcast for the week ahead, the week of February 20th. January lasts for 100 years, and then February is in the blink of an eye. This past week, we had the Lunar New Year. We are officially fully on the back of the fire horse, raging down this path. We have the new moon in Aquarius. We are entering eclipse season, the eclipse cycles. I think Mercury goes retrograde on Friday, something like that. So, check in with your local favorite astrologer. I recommend my cousin Maddie. I also like Chani. I like the idea of having that as a framework, the same way I check the weather forecast when I go out in the week or when I think about my week ahead. It's nice to have a sense of what's at play, like who's on the field, what are we working with this week? Not as a determinant or an imperative or as something that must be, but as a palette for your week ahead, a palette for your month ahead. And we're entering springtime here, at least in my neck of the woods. And I was just with my acupuncturist. We've been speaking a lot about the need for hydration during a fire horse year. And hydration doesn't mean, in Chinese medicine, doesn't mean we're drinking a gallon of water. It means we're protecting our energy. This comes back to how important alignment will be over action. There will be plenty of action this year. We want to balance that out with calm, with water, with rest, with nourishment and hydration from an energetic standpoint. Yes, from a physical standpoint, but more importantly, from an energetic standpoint. And we are at the cusp. We're in the journey towards the march towards spring. So right now the world is quiet. You might say right now that the world is in its wintry season, but spring is coming. Spring is coming. And the analogy that KJ was using in acupuncture was like a seed underground, and that it's so quiet, it's so resting. And then when it begins its push towards the surface, it's almost like against its will. And there's a sense of discomfort in this moment, this in between, while we're holding in both hands the quiet dark of the winter and the potential huge amount of energy that comes in the spring. And it's almost like you forget every year. Like, spring's coming, but you also forget what that feels like in your own system, what that looks like in the world around you. I mean, who's not dazzled every spring? I know I am. And there's something really interesting about this moment of in between, this moment of transition from one energy to a next that we're sitting in. And so you want to just be thoughtful about that. Remember on the monthly podcast when I said that you might be asked to hold the pose a little longer than you want to this month? I said it's like yin yoga, and you get into this kind of maybe comfortable, maybe uncomfortable pose, and then you surrender to it. You stay there, and you're like, oh, my hips are tight. I'm noticing this. And then you stay a little longer and you're like, oh my God, my neck. And you stay longer and you're like, oh wow, I'm angry. Maybe that's just my journey. But when you stay in a pose and it reveals itself to you, like the truth is revealed by the commitment to the position, the commitment to the pose. When I said that, I probably was referring to this week. This is a week where you are going to find yourself staying in a position longer than you would prefer. And there's going to be a negotiation around the way you're carrying things, what wants to be put down, what wants to come to an end, and the way that feels and your choice around that. I pulled a lot of cards because I was kind of trying to read this and it was coming in a lot of different ways. The cards I landed on were the 10 of Wands, the 8 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords. So the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands are both speaking about an excess of energy, an excess of fire and an excess of air, which is welcome to the fire horse land. So there's just a lot of that getting pumped into the system, and something about that, and it's going to be different for all of us, something about that is causing a kind of rebirth and also an awareness of where the tension really is. So an awareness of, I think I know where the tension is. I can, narrate for you what's going on. But as I stay in the pose, as I surrender to the pose, surrender to the discomfort, other layers get revealed. And I find myself aware of the things that I'm carrying that no longer are alive, no longer belong here. And I'm also becoming aware of the things that, like the thing I thought was the problem or the challenge or the constriction, And as I stay there, it like blossoms for me. And then I get to see inside. And when I see inside, I realize that there's a whole other thing happening. And it's, we are good at distracting ourselves and we're good at working with what we think we need to work on. Classic example of this is when we point to something outside of ourselves and we say, if they would change, or if it would change, or if this would change, then I could be, then I could have, then I could accomplish, fill in the blank. And yes, things are challenging. There's real situations, real impact of the material world around us, of our relational dynamics around us, of the world around us. And what else? What else might be nested within that? And so in this week, wherever this discomfort's showing up for you, wherever there's a lack of preference, wherever you're kind of feeling the pressure, feeling the tension, feeling the intensity, there's a revelation on the other side of it. So the advice or the encouragement from the tarot is to A, stay with it, B, not feel responsible for it. So it's not like we're staying with it and you better work harder, you better figure this out. This is a puzzle that you need to solve. More like, this is uncomfortable, trust the process, stay with it. And so there's something about the staying with it. And there's something about who you become in your ability to stay with it that is the thing that wants to be revealed. And what wants to be accessed is actually a deeper sense of heart for life. I say this with as little exaggeration or hyperbole as possible when I say that we are entering a new era, right? Like the astrologers say it, and you can feel it in your own system. But 2025 was a trial, and it pushed us to move through a great shedding. And the people that you encountered in 2025, they were put there for a reason. There was a tension there for a reason. There was a conflict there for a reason. If you're kind of paying attention, which we probably are if we're sitting with tarot together, it helps you to sit with yourself and say, like, actually, what do I want? What am I building? What belongs here with me? What brings me peace? What brings me safety? What brings me love? What brings me inspiration? What brings me connection? Whatever the thing is. And you did a lot of work in 2025. I hope you're conscious of that. I hope you're aware of that. I hope you can, be proud of yourself for what you metabolized and uncovered and shed and revealed and understood better in this past year. And now you move out onto the track. Like, that's the best way I can say it. You come out onto the track and you haven't run the race in this form before. You can think about it physically, how your body might have changed in 2025. But we're all entering this new arena, and there is something, it just feels like less like shedding and more like, what does it feel like? It feels like putting something down. So it's interesting that the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords are here together, because the 10 of Swords is like, it doesn't get any deader. So walk away. That form literally doesn't, that body, that choice, that life literally doesn't exist anymore. So time to, dust your hands off and head for the sunrise. And the 10 of Wands is about you're trying to keep things that don't need to be kept. That goes back to that lack mentality from last week. There's a sense of I have to hold on to it. And if I don't keep it, it's going to go away. If I don't grasp it, to me, there won't be enough. And part of the lesson of the 10 of Wands is you can carry it all, but you're carrying it with a lot of pain. You could let it go and it would come back. Wands are meant to fly. Wands are meant to be free. Fire energy is not meant to stay still, and it's not meant to be locked up. Think about that as your own energy body. You're not meant to stay in constriction. You are constantly expanding and contracting. That's like the nature of the universe, the nature of all things. But there's a way in which the 10 of Wands helps us notice where we're holding on really tight and why we're doing that. And so the 10 of Wands is a let it go, man, or like put it down. Let's find a new way to carry this if it really has to come with us. But probably it doesn't. Probably you're just causing yourself a lot of unnecessary pain. And then the 10 of Swords is, this is done, dude. Like, literally, this is a body pierced along its spine with 10 swords. we are not going to save this this being. It's like you have to get up and move on now. And then the Eight of Swords is I don't know how. The Eight of Swords is I'm blindfolded and I don't and my hands are tied and my feet are the only thing free and I'm at a loss. I don't even know where to go. Like you say it's different. You say I've learned a lot. Yeah, but Kirsten, but what? But where? But like what do I do now? And so this is the moment. We've shed all this stuff. We've put down. It doesn't get any deader. We're not carrying the burdens anymore. And yet the path is not illuminated. And so this is the moment where we hold the pose. Like this is the moment where we just stay put. And maybe there's a footfall in front of you. Maybe you know what to do next. But it's okay if you don't. And this would be a week where you give yourself permission to hang tight, to just acknowledge that what was is not anymore. And where you're headed is not completely clear just yet. And so you're just standing here with your eyes bound and your arms tied in this like weird desert with one stream of water running through it. I'm kidding. I'm picturing the card. But you're just kind of standing here for a moment. And this is the moment where we don't force movement forward. We don't like launch ourselves into unknown territory if it doesn't feel right. We just give ourselves a minute. So this week, it might be uncomfortable. It might be a little itchy. And what you think to yourself is, I'm just getting used to this body. I'm just getting used to this being. I'm trying to understand something about who I am now and what I value and how I hold energy and what my work is. And it's okay for me to stay here. It's okay for me just to keep busy here. It's not going to last forever. This is not going to be an endless thing. You cannot sit in pigeon pose for 72 years. You will have to move. Like life will move you. You will move. But in this moment, you're just going to feel a little bit like I can't go back and I don't know where to go forward. And so I sit here and it might be uncomfortable. And who do you become as you let yourself exist in something that's uncomfortable? And that's the experience this week. That's the lesson. That's what we're learning. So huge endings in these cards. Like something is fully complete and it might just be this moment where we're like, wow, it really is over. Or wow, it really is different now. Or wow, there really is no going back. And give yourself a minute to like stay there, hold that energy, experience that without forcing forward momentum. Like that's the tricky part, right? Because it's like almost easy and very spring energy to be like, well, it's dead, time to move on. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And nothing about this says, let's go, let's go, let's go. Everything about this says, all right, stay here for a minute. Sit tight for a minute. What's this like? What does this feel like? What is this experience? What is this body? Let me catch my breath. And then, the road will reveal itself when the road is ready. And it will be ready. Fire, horse, wheel of fortune, you are not going to get stuck this year. So any part of you that's afraid of being stuck because of being stuck in the past, you got to self-soothe that. And you got to recognize this just a moment in time, and a moment in time where there's something for me to learn in the staying still, even when it's uncomfortable. I'll leave you with that. You got this. Appreciate the endings. Honor the fact that this is a pretty major ending. And take a deep breath. Maybe even let yourself get excited about what's next without forcing what's next. And there's a huge difference in those two things. So you got this. Lesson in Hangman. The Hangman is with us. This is a Hangman rich week. And we're going to allow that to be the moment we're in. We're going to surrender to the pose. We're going to stay put a little longer. And I promise you're going to know when it's time to move. You will not get stuck here. But I would encourage you to stay there a little bit longer than you might naturally want to. There's some gold in there. There's some treasure to be discovered when we hold the pose just a little longer than we want to. Okay, so much love to you. Bye.